Hi, in this video, the next in our series of X number of ideas for resin jewellery for beginners, we are going to be using silicone inlays. Now, I know some people think this is a bit more advanced and might be a little bit concerned about this and think, oh no, that's beyond me. But honestly, I'm going to show you that it's actually incredibly easy and definitely beginner proof. So, here we are. Here's our trusty little heart mould again. Now, what we're going to do is put a layer of clear in the front, but we're going to inlay onto the back of it. And I've been struggling to find an inlay small enough for this little heart mould. So I'm going to take one of these tiny inlays from Toonfish Crafts and actually separate it into two. And it's these tiddy little foot paw prints. If anybody wants any tiny little inlays that are really good for jewellery, then Wendy at Toonfish Crafts makes these. She's done videos on how to make them if you want to do them yourself as well. So we've got that tiny little inlay. Right, this is the way I find it easiest to do this. We are going to, first of all, colour that little inlay. Now, there's a multitude of different ways to do this, and we'll probably pick up a load more in this series of videos. But also, can I just refer you to Wendy at Toonfish Crafts channel? I'll put the link for her down in the video description below because she does a whole load of stuff with inlays, and she's of course the master of them. So I wanted a nice purpley colour for this little guy, and I'm going to use a chameleon powder. This is also from Toonfish Crafts. It's from the Tiny Turner range, and it's called Nether. And what you do is you brush it onto your little inlay. Like I said, there's a load of different ways of doing this, but this I find a fun and easy one to do. So we're just brushing it onto the inlay and it will stick to the silicone. Now I'm going to keep going over it. We're going to end up with a big patch on my mat because I want to make sure that there's not much in the way of surplus to get where we don't want it. Next, I'm going to clean that up again so it doesn't get where I don't want it. And the easiest way to do that is with a little bit of sticky tape. And that'll come straight off your mat nice and easy. There we go. That's how you get it off your mould afterwards as well. Right. Now, we need some resin in our mould. So this is going to be the inevitable clear front that I do tend to put on these. And we want it to go right round into the corners. Just want to say, forgive me for not wearing gloves. It's a good idea to wear gloves, even with the safer UV resins like the Let's Resin one that I'm using here, just because it gets very messy and you might have an allergic reaction. I don't to the Let's Resin one, nor the Apex one. That's the other one I often use. But you never know. And if it, there we are, just settled it in there. And if it does cure on your fingers as well, it doesn't half burn because it gets hot. So we're going to make sure that is where we want it. I think you want it slightly to the right. There we go. And we're going to ultraviolet cure it back in 2 minutes. And there we go. We have zapped it from the other side as well. That's always a good idea. Once it's cured this side, I turned it over and I got the other side. And we're going to pull this little inlay out and you'll see how it's left that imprint in the mould. Isn't that good? So now what we want is a different colour background. That's obviously very dark, so let's go for something completely different. What we've got here is an ethereal powder called Eclipse. It's one of those ones that although it looks white in the pot, it actually isn't. Because as you can see where the light's catching it, it's actually all sorts of fabulous colour flippy colours. So we're going to paint this into the back. So, and it should just stick to our resin. Can you see it sticking? Look, what the colour across. Have to catch the light right to be able to see that. And then what we could do is leave it in like that, so it's all transparent and the colours flip and it'll get like a mermaidy effect. But what we're actually going to do is put black in the back. What we'll do in a minute is do a similar one, but without black in the back, so you can see what the difference is like. And this is the black ultraviolet curing resin from Let's Resin, which is an absolute godsend. Stroke of genius, thank you, Let's Resin. You can make up your own black UV resin, of course, but it's hard to know how much black you can put in without it inhibiting the curing. As this is all done for you. Let's see what's happened. And there you go. Isn't that like magic? It just looks like there's something in there and there isn't, because we took the little inlay out Now I have got a little bit of overspill I need to sort out there, but that's something I can easily clip out later with my precision clippers. In fact, actually I've just managed to squish it down with my nail. Look at the colour movement in there. And there's nothing in there. That's just solid resin and powder. What I mean is it looks like there's a paw print in there and there isn't. It's just an indent in the resin. Now, usual trick to make this pop even more, we can top coat it, which of course you can put a blob in the centre and pull this out with a toothpick or your silicone tool to make sure you've got to the edges. I just get a bit blasé because I found I can just do it straight from the nozzle of the bottle with those Lux resin bottles. There we are. Cure that off. There. I hope you'll agree that's nothing short of spectacular and ridiculously easy. There's lots of chameleon powders on the market. I find the tiny Turner ones from Toonfish Crafts to be the most intense. However, I've got various other brands as well that are also actually very good. So whatever chameleon powders you've got, give it a try. I can't recommend the tiny Turner ones enough. They really are amazing. Now let's try one without putting black behind it, because you do get a different effect. I said you'd get a mermaid effect, so let's have a look at that. Let's just have a clean up of our little inlay. So there we go, just pulling the powder off it and we're good to go again. So same process, I'll just clean the powder off my brush, which I'm going to do by rubbing it on the mat. And for the little paw print, again I'm going to go for a chameleon powder. This time it's Elixir. This is this incredible purpley colour. Now this powder goes an awful long way, you only need to use the tiniest bit. You can see how little I used there. Really burnishing it into the little silicone in with our UV resin. Don't forget, if you do end up doing a lot of ultraviolet curing resin stuff, Lux Resin do absolutely huge bottles of this now. That's I decant it into this or these plastic bottles that I just bought off Amazon, because they're much easier to handle than the great big bottle that it comes in. But the big bottle does come with a nozzle, so you can easily decant it into smaller bottles if you want. There we go, making sure it's run all the way around. And we're going to pick up our little tiny inlay again. We are going to put it face down. And don't forget, this powder, once it's on, does not come off. Even if it was on the top surface, it's not here. But even if it was on the outside surface of the mould, which we can do that in another video if you want, it doesn't come off because it actually fuses into the resin. So if you've painted it onto the silicone and then put your resin in afterwards, it will stay on that surface. Right, let's cure. It's moving, doesn't it? Let's cure that off. There we go. And of course I've given it a quick zap with the ultraviolet curing resin on the back as well. I turned it over. So let's get our little inlay out. You do have to be careful with these very tiny inlays not to tear them. So go gently, because they are very tiny. And there we have it. So that's fused in. We're going to put the Galaxy on the back now, which is all sorts of pinks and blues, and it's another matte colour. It's one of those ethereal powders. The chameleon powders aren't transparent, although putting black on the back of them still makes them ping more. The ethereal powders are kind of transparent, which means that you get a different effect whether you put black on the back or not. Oh, and this one we're just going to put clear, won't we? So we get like a mermaidy effect. This might be a gift from my neighbour, actually, if it works out nice, because she loves cats and she loves pinky and purpley colours. In fact, at the moment, her hair is pink. So, let's get the lamp in again and cure that. Right, let's demould this one. It did slide over to the side, but I think that's going to work anyway. And look at that. See how different that is. Don't forget, if you like this video, we're up to, if you include this the prequel, this is number 6. There's more to come. This is now a playlist that I'm going to make full of great ideas for beginners, and I'm also planning to formulate this into a course where I go into a lot more depth on how the ultraviolet curing resin works, how you use the different findings to actually turn these into jewellery, and so on. Let me know if you would be interested in me doing that, because that would be no trouble at all for me to do that, and also release it at a very sensible, affordable cost for most people too. So I will see you for the next video. Don't forget, if you want to subscribe to the channel, that's completely free, and you'll get this playlist as it grows. You'll get notifications as I put more on the playlist itself. And the next we'll be doing is cat's eye powders. Do they actually work with ultraviolet curing resin? That will be our next video. I'll see you for that one.